Most people spend 30 years building their retirement savings. They choose the right accounts. They contribute consistently. They survive the market crashes without panic selling. They do, by almost every measure, exactly what they were supposed to do. And then, on the day they retire, they make a single decision, quietly, quickly, without much thought, that costs them more than almost every other financial mistake they've ever made combined. They pull from the wrong account first. The order in which you withdraw money in retirement is not a minor detail. It is one of the most consequential financial decisions of your entire life. And the default, the thing most people do instinctively, without a plan, is almost always wrong. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what the right order is, why the wrong order can cost you tens of thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes, and why the financial industry has almost no incentive to explain this to you clearly. Stay with me, because the people who get this right retire with dramatically more money than the people who don't, even with identical savings. Let me explain what is actually at stake here, because most people significantly underestimate it. When you retire, you likely have money in multiple types of accounts. A traditional 401k or IRA, where every dollar will be taxed as ordinary income when you withdraw it. Possibly a Roth account, where growth and withdrawals are completely tax-free. And possibly a taxable brokerage account, where gains are taxed at the lower long-term capital gains rate. These three buckets behave completely differently from a tax perspective, and the order you empty them determines your tax bill, not just this year, but every year of your retirement. Here is the number that should stop you cold. A retired couple who withdraws from their accounts in the wrong order can pay $200,000 to $400,000 more in lifetime taxes than a couple with identical savings who withdraws in the right order. Not because one couple earned more, not because one couple invested better, because one couple had a plan for the order of withdrawal and the other didn't. This is the part that produces what I can only describe as amused disappointment. The information exists. The math is not complicated. And yet the default behavior, pulling from whatever account feels most logical in the moment, is almost universally the wrong choice. I want to introduce you to someone. Call her Carol. Carol is 64 years old. She retired last spring after 31 years as a school administrator. She has $420,000 in a traditional 401k, $85,000 in a Roth IRA she opened 12 years ago, and $60,000 in a taxable brokerage account she built up from annual bonuses. Total retirement savings, $565,000. Not bad. Not the number she dreamed of, but solid. Enough with Social Security to live comfortably. On her first day of retirement, her financial advisor, who earns a percentage of her assets under management, told her to take distributions from her 401k first. It was the largest account. It was the one she thought of as her retirement money. It felt logical. Nobody ran the numbers on the alternative. We'll come back to Carol in a few minutes, because what happened over the next 3 years is exactly what I don't want to happen to you. Before I give you the withdrawal order, you need to understand the three buckets, because the strategy only makes sense once you see how differently they're taxed. Bucket 1 is your pre-tax money. Traditional 401k, traditional IRA, SEP IRA, 403b. Every dollar in here has never been taxed. When you withdraw it, you pay ordinary income tax, the same rate as your salary. At current rates, that could be 12%, 22%, 24%, or higher depending on how much you pull out in a given year. Bucket 2 is your after-tax money. Roth IRA, Roth 401k. You paid taxes on this money before it went in. The growth is tax-free, the withdrawals are tax-free, and, critically, there are no required minimum distributions on a Roth IRA. It can sit and grow for as long as you want without the government forcing you to take money out. Bucket 3 is your taxable brokerage account. You pay taxes on dividends and realized gains each year, but long-term capital gains, assets held more than 1 year, are taxed at 0%, 15%, or 20% depending on your income. For many retirees in the lower income brackets, the rate is 0. Read that again. 0. A retiree with modest income can sell appreciated stock in a taxable brokerage account and pay no federal tax on the gain. That is not a loophole. That is a feature of the tax code that almost nobody uses intentionally. If this is making you think about your own accounts differently, subscribe before we go further. We go this deep every week, and the next video is going to be worth your time. So what is the right order? Here it is, and I want you to write this down. Step 1. Take your required minimum distributions first. Once you turn 73, the IRS requires you to withdraw a minimum amount from your pre-tax accounts each year. You have no choice. This money is coming out whether you want it or not, so start here. Take your RMDs. Don't fight them. Don't try to work around them. Take them, pay the tax, move on. If you're not yet 73, skip this step and go directly to Step 2. Step 2. Spend from your taxable brokerage account next. This is the counterintuitive one. Most people's instinct is to leave the taxable account alone because they associate taxable with expensive. But remember, long-term capital gains rates are lower than ordinary income rates. And in early retirement, when your income is low, you may pay 0 capital gains tax on withdrawals from this account. Additionally, spending from the taxable account first allows your tax-advantaged accounts, both the traditional and the Roth, to keep compounding for longer. The longer your Roth in particular is left untouched, the more powerful it becomes. Step 3. Spend from your pre-tax accounts, your traditional 401k and IRA, next. But here is the nuance that most people miss. Don't just take whatever you need from the traditional account. Think strategically about how much to take. If you're in a low tax bracket in early retirement, before Social Security begins, before RMDs kick in, this is actually a golden window. You can withdraw from your traditional accounts up to the top of your current tax bracket at a relatively low rate. This reduces the balance that will eventually be subject to RMDs and potentially higher taxes later. Many financial planners call this filling the bracket. Pull enough from your traditional accounts to fill your current tax bracket, but no more. Step 4. Spend from your Roth account last. The Roth is your most powerful asset in retirement, not because of its current value, but because of its future value and its flexibility. It grows tax-free. It has no RMDs. It can be passed to heirs tax-free. Every year you leave it untouched, it gets more valuable. The Roth is your emergency reserve, your longevity insurance, your tax-free income source for the years when your other income pushes you into a higher bracket. Use it last. Protect it as long as you can. Now, let's go back to Carol. Carol followed her advisor's recommendation and pulled from her 401k first. In her first year of retirement, before Social Security, she needed $38,000 to cover her expenses. She withdrew $38,000 from her traditional 401k. That $38,000, combined with a small amount of investment income, put her in the 22% federal tax bracket. She paid $8,360 in federal income tax on her retirement withdrawal. Here is what she could have done instead. Her taxable brokerage account held $60,000 in appreciated stock. Her cost basis, what she originally paid, was $28,000. The gain was $32,000, sir. At her income level in year 1 of retirement, her long-term capital gains rate was 0. She could have sold the entire taxable account, realized $32,000 in gains, paid zero federal capital gains tax, and covered most of her first year's expenses without touching the 401k at all. Instead, she paid $8,360 in tax that year that she did not have to pay, and the following year, and the year after that, because nobody ran the numbers. 3 years later, Carol sat down with a different advisor who specialized in retirement income planning. When he showed her the analysis, she was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I thought my advisor was managing my money. He was managing my account balance. Those are not the same thing." Here is the insight that connects everything in this video. The financial industry is structured around assets under management. Your advisor earns a percentage of the money they oversee, which means their incentive is to keep money in accounts, ideally in the accounts they manage, for as long as possible, recommending that you spend down your taxable brokerage account first, which they may not manage, before touching the 401k, which they definitely do manage, is not in their financial interest. This is not a conspiracy. It is just how incentives work. The withdrawal order strategy I just described moves money out of fee-generating structures and into your pocket. It is mathematically provable. It is legal. It is widely known among sophisticated retirement planners. And it is almost never explained to regular retirees because the people with the most access to those retirees have the least incentive to explain it. Carol's situation is not unusual. It is the norm. The question is whether you want to be in the norm or in the exception. Here is what I want you to do this week. Step 1. List your 3 buckets. Write down the current balance of your pre-tax accounts, your Roth accounts, and your taxable brokerage accounts. If you don't have all 3, note which ones you have. Step 2. Calculate your current tax bracket. In early retirement, before Social Security and before RMDs, many people are in a lower bracket than they were during their working years. Know your number. It determines the strategy. Step 3. If you have a taxable brokerage account and you're in a low bracket, ask your advisor specifically, "What is my long-term capital gains rate this year, and how much can I realize before I cross into the 15% bracket?" If they can't answer that question in under 60 seconds, you have the wrong advisor. Tell me in the comments, which bucket is your largest right now? Pre-tax, Roth, or taxable? I want to see where this community stands. I read every single comment. Subscribe if this gave you something. Because next week, we're covering the RMD mistake that 84% of retirees make. And it compounds silently for years before most people ever notice it. You don't want to miss it.